What if the thing you thought was completely normal was actually something you'd been conditioned to believe your entire life? Today's guest spent years in environments where drinking wasn't just accepted, it was expected. Family, bartending, play dates, mommy culture. And at the time, it all made sense until one day it didn't. And what's really interesting about her story isn't just that she changed her relationship with alcohol, it's that she completely reframed it and then decided to help other people start doing the same. If you've stepped away from drinking or the things that used to numb you, you know it changes your life. But it changes the people watching you too. You become quiet proof that something better is possible. On Sober Life Rocks, we talk with people who realize that their choice wasn't just personal, it was a platform, a chance to be a leader, to shorten somebody else's learning curve, to do something that really mattered. If you felt that pull, you're in the right place. Subscribe and stay with us. Welcome to the Sober Life Rocks podcast. Today's guest is Lauren O'Hanlon. She is a certified life coach and alcohol reframe coach who helps people change their relationship with alcohol in a way that feels empowering, not depriving. Her work blends neuroscience, compassion, and real life experience to help people feel more clear headed, more confident, and in control. But what makes her story especially compelling is how deeply immersed she was in the drinking culture for years, from growing up where a family where alcohol was the norm, to a 20-year career in high volume bartending, to fully stepping into what she calls mommy wine culture. And today we're going to talk about how she not only shifted her own perspective, but decided to speak up about it. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Margie. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so good to see you again. I'm just thrilled that you agreed to come onto the show. Um, I kind of wanted just to start out with something that I was reading about you and really stood out for me. And this was the idea of conditioning, that drinking just felt normal.
hmm
So, where, what did it look like growing up? What messages did you absorb around alcohol early on?
Yeah, well, I think that the messages were alcohol helps you relax after a hard day at work. Alcohol is around for all sporting events. Alcohol is a fun way to, connect. You have get-togethers, you have family gatherings, and everybody's cheersing a glass and connecting. And so I saw all these very positive messages about alcohol when I was very young. We went on vacations and, there was just drinking everywhere. And so yeah, from a young age, it was kind of like, oh, I can't wait to grow up and have that magic juice that all the grown-ups get to have.
So, you never really questioned it. It was just like, oh, this is what people do.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
And then you moved into a bartending career.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How did
So
that come to be?
I went to college,
Mhm.
and it was in college that I got a job at a bar and serving, and then I got behind the bar, and I was like, "Ooh, this is fun. This is fun. You get to talk to people all the time. You get to make a lot of money, and you get to drink." And I thought I had all the boxes checked. And so it was kind of, honestly, the thing that kept me there in the beginning was like walking away with all that cash and making friends and getting to have your friends come to see you since you can't be part of the party.
And I read somewhere, I think it was on your Instagram, that you used to tell people to pick your poison.
hmm
When you look back now, what do you think about that?
That is one of the things that kind of stopped me in my tracks when I learned that alcohol actually was poison, because those words easily came out of my mouth and I had no idea the actual meaning behind them. So I was pretty, I look back at my bartending career now and how good I was at having people have one more and, get that extra drink. And I kind of cringe a little bit, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So, but yeah, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling to look back that I said that so much.
Yeah. But yet that is the culture that we live in
Hmm. Absolutely.
still
I didn't know
today.
any different. Yep.
Yeah. So then at a certain point, you transitioned out of that and into mommy wine culture. Tell me about that.
Yes. So with bartending, comes a lifestyle, and I'm in Fort Lauderdale, so it's on the beach, it's this vacation every day type mentality, and so it was like this rinse and repeat lifestyle. And when I became pregnant and I had finally left my bar job, it was like it was kind of like my entire, and I know a lot of women can relate to this, but your entire world is flipped upside down. What you knew to be, well, not even what I knew, but I had the social life that was all of a sudden, not there anymore. And it became very lonely. It became just, I had two babies in a year, and so it
Mm,
just became very stressful.
very isolating.
Very isolating. Yes. My husband, so he's in retail, and so he had to be gone. He had to be gone during the day. And it was, yeah, like you said, it was isolating, and I missed what I used to have. But what I quickly discovered was that a lot of other moms felt the exact same way that I did. And a lot of the other moms, and this is no blame on anybody, but they'd all drink with me. We'd all drink together. We'd go to the playground, and maybe bring a seltzer or something, in the diaper bag, or put something in your Yeti, or and not to get drunk, not be able to function as a parent, but it was like to scratch that itch almost, just
Hmm.
like, this is my reward as a parent. They're stressful, so I'm going to have a little de-stressor and go about my day and think that it was totally fine.
Absolutely. I mean, I look back on those times and I didn't have the, oh, look at your pretty cup.
I love this thing.
I didn't have the mommy wine culture. I had the same effect only in isolation.
Mhm.
I was doing the same thing at home. It was like I've had a tough day of nonstop with the diapers, with the crying, with the thises, with the that's. And so I rewarded myself with,
Mm.
a glass of wine. Or I laugh because I learned early on that I loved to cook,
Mhm.
and I had learned to pair wines with what it was that I made. And so I would make, steak and mushroom sauce for my toddlers so that I could justify having the art of the accompanying wine.
Yep.
The things
Totally
that
get
the
that.
things that we construct in our mind as being good self-care,
Mhm.
right? That now we look back on and we think, "Hmm, that's
Oh,
curious."
absolutely. I remember, well, I mean, there were multiple things, but I would get, if it was story time, if my kids were all bathed and getting ready to go up and read them a story, and I would pour myself a glass of wine, put extra ice cubes in it so that, heaven forbid, it got too low and we're not done reading these
Hmm.
books, and I would have that, and I'd set it on their dresser, and we'd read some pages or a book, and then it would be like, okay, hang on, mommy, and I'd take a big old gulp. I totally understand that. And over time, for me, it started not mattering what time I had that glass of wine. Again, it wasn't to like get drunk and black out or anything like that while I'm taking care of my kids, but if they'd already had a day and it's only noon, then I might be cracking out that bottle at noon.
Yeah.
And then And then I took it a step further and would hide that bottle in my closet so that my husband wouldn't know. He would think that I'd only had that one glass that he saw me with. That was my first glass when it really wasn't. And um, yeah, it's so easy to get caught in that loop. Nobody's home, nobody's around, you're stressed out. This is how we know to deal with stress. And yeah. Ugh, not fun.
I asked because I know that you've publicly said it, but you tell a story about after some play dates, putting your kids in the car.
Hmm. Yeah. So we would, okay, so I mean, there's a few different, so I'll do, all right, mom of the year right here. I would take them for ice cream all the time, all the time. And there's this nice little ice cream shop right by the bar that I used to work at, right at the beach. And I would get them, and 10 feet away, not even 10 feet away, was a outdoor tequila bar, you know? So I would get them situated and I would walk. They were right there, right in front of me, and I would order a margarita or a double margarita, whatever the heck I felt like. And I would have that one. They'd eat their ice cream. I'd feel like a winner. They were having a great old time. And then and we lived about 3 minutes away, but I would get in the car and drive the most precious things on earth that meant the most to me. And I felt fine, I felt fine, but are you really fine after, drinking tequila? Like, are you really fully fine? Am I able to fully take care of them? Or, going to lunch with, let's say that a girlfriend or something, we would go to lunch and bring our kids or whatever. And maybe I had one sangria, or maybe I had two,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would drive, but I was
Mm-hmm.
fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was fine. Um,
And
yeah,
was there a point where that started to feel like maybe this isn't okay? Maybe this isn't as normal as I'm telling
yes.
myself it is?
Yes. I started having these like little thoughts here and there, like, why do I need to bring a vodka soda to my son's karate? Um, why, what is the point? Like, what is it doing for me? And we moved a few years ago, and so the boys were at their old school um for the transition of the school year. So they were at their old school, and it was about a half-hour drive. And I would usually bring like not this cup, but a cup like this into the car with something in it. And that wasn't an everyday thing. That was just if I was, feeling it or feeling stressed, or I don't know. I don't know, what it was. But that was kind of a red flag for me too. Like, why do I need this? Why do I need to be drinking and driving to not, I don't want to be drunk. I don't even really want to be buzzed. So why do I need this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've asked you kind of all these leading questions because from the very beginning, alcohol was positioned as a reward, as a celebration, as a stress relief, as a social construct, and you carried that on throughout your drinking. So when you got sober, it seems to me that that would represent taking all the fun and taking all the reward out of your life,
Hmm.
right? It's a deprivation.
Hmm.
How did you switch that?
Oh man. Well, I mean, there was a little transition period where I was kind of not, I don't want to say mourning. That's a little much, but where I was like,
That's a
oh,
legit word. I think that's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah, okay. The life that I had, and because it's like our brain always wants to focus on that positive, you remember all those good times. Ooh, my speaker. But I think that once I stopped drinking, and once my brain just really started healing itself, really, I was able to find other things to put in its place. I've always loved to work out. And I would always credit myself when I drank. I'd be like, oh well, I'm not that bad. I got up and I worked out the next day. Um, but I was so scared that my friends weren't going to be my friends anymore. I was so scared of all these things, I'm never going to get invited, and life is going to be so blah. And it turns out that all my friends are still my friends. The relationship looks different, but we're still friends. And
How's the relationship different?
you know, okay, for example, last weekend I went to the bar that I used to work at, and I went to just go simply say hi to one of my best friends in the world, and she asked me if I wanted a bottle of water or something else. And in the past, that would have been her and I taking a shot together. That would have been, we would probably go out and day drink. Like we used to, which we don't do anymore. Now it's more of it's it's a legit friendship. It's a legit friendship. It's because I'm fully present, and so what I'm bringing to the friendship, they are fully getting me, and it's there's nothing artificial about it anymore. And not that there was, but when you're drinking and you're doing all these things, it's easy to get lost, easy for your friendship to get lost.
So she obviously now knows that you don't drink. I'm
Mhm.
so curious about how you navigated and when you decided to tell people that you've decided that alcohol is no longer serving you. Like, how did that work for you?
It was really kind of difficult for me at first. It's I was almost embarrassed. I was almost embarrassed that I didn't drink and that I would like tell people, because I thought that everybody was going to think that like I just had this complete rock bottom and I destroyed my family or whatever they wanted to think. And so what it looked like was it was about 6 months I hadn't had a drink. And I went to the exact same bar I was just talking about and to say hi because they have amazing food and my friends still all work there. And I she asked what I wanted to drink and I was like, "You know what?" I was like, "I have not had a drink in 6 months." She was like, "What?" And it was something I had kept so close to the vest. It was something that like I just didn't until I was ready, until I felt comfortable with it. Now I will tell anybody who will listen. But it was a new identity. And it was something that I had to, it had to feel right for me. And so how did I navigate that? Like just slowly but surely. And it was over time with me that it started becoming more comfortable.
And did you find that people had those questions about what had happened?
Not as much as I thought. And who knows if they have thought it behind my back, but no. They no, actually. Um, there were reasons behind why I stopped drinking, and for marital and things like that. So they had known that I had some things going on in my life, but they hadn't they didn't know that I was actively trying to stop drinking. So it was something that I just kind of, yeah, I just didn't talk about it. Just didn't talk about it.
Have there been surprises in how people have reacted, maybe not in the negative way, but even in the positive or curious way?
Most of the time people will say, and I would say this to people when I was still drinking, like, oh, well, I've cut back a lot too. The second that I say that I don't drink, oh man, I don't drink nearly as much as I used to. That's what I hear a lot. Some people, I did have a woman a couple months ago. She was like, oh, why? What happened? And I was like, I started comparing it to cigarettes. I was like, if you wouldn't start smoking cigarettes right now, like it's the same thing. I needed it for health reasons. I wanted it for, a lot of other reasons. And I was like, I'm just trying to be more healthy. I'm trying to, and so yeah, it was interesting.
And Are there times that you have realized that your being public about it has become bigger than just your story?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
One of my closest friends told me, she's like, you have made it okay to not drink. And she hasn't had a drink in about a year and a half. I didn't coach her. I didn't do anything like that. It was just simply seeing somebody else stepping out about it. I have another girlfriend in Colorado who she messaged me on Instagram, and she was like, I've been following all of your stuff, and I just want to tell you about a camping trip that I just did without drinking. And that was a little while ago. She's actually almost at about a year now too. Again, I didn't coach her either. It was they were just kind of watching it. And it's really cool. And I'm sure you know too, it's like people start coming out of the woodwork once you start being vocal about it. Yeah, and it's just such an incredible feeling. It's so incredible. Never in a million trillion years would I have ever thought that I would be, helping people not drink. I was so good at helping them drink.
Yeah.
But but it's just awesome.
I remember, so, everybody who knows me knows like I was secretly sober for 18 and a half years. I didn't tell anybody because I was worried about the stigma and what people would think about why and all that. But since then, I've been very open about it. And I sing in a community choir. And our conductor really tries to help us build community with each other because, we live in this world where it's hard to connect as adults. And so on this particular day, she was saying, I'm feeling so um, stressed by all the things going on in the world and all of that. I'm just up for some good news. And so right before our break, she said, I'm just curious, does anybody have any good news? And so somebody shared about a new job that they had gotten, and somebody shared about a new pet that they had just adopted, and somebody shared about their wedding anniversary. And so I took a deep breath and I raised my hand and I said, I just last week celebrated 20 years of sobriety. Now, with the other ones, everybody had been like, yay, clap, clap, clap. And when I shared that, the whole choir erupted in applause. It was like, I was so touched by that moment. But interestingly, since then, I've become the spokesperson for not drinking. And people come up to me privately at different times. One guy recently was saying, oh, I gave up drinking for Lent. And he said, I'm really used to having a cocktail every day when I come home from work. And so now I'm trying all these non-alcoholic options and they're really good. Like, I didn't know they could be so good. And I'm like, well, good for you. And he said, I think when Lent is over, I'm going to like alternate drinking days with non-alcoholic days. I'm like, great.
Amazing. Yeah.
But it just cracks me up that we become these unicorns
Hmm.
of people out in today's culture and society that it makes it okay to say these things out loud that they
Yes.
wouldn't say to anybody else. It's pretty
Totally.
interesting.
Totally. Yeah, I have another girlfriend who kind of like you, it was just like a random out of the blue text message, like, hey, I just made it 30 days, like without drinking. And I was thinking of you. And it's really cool to be that person that's like on their mind,
It
it's
is.
really a good feeling because there's a movement. There's a movement going on, and it is okay to not drink. It is.
Yeah. So you now have become a sober coach. What is that? What does that mean?
So what I do, I was certified to be able to reframe the way that we feel about alcohol.
Okay.
So what I do is I teach science because that's what got me. That's how I got hooked on this journey. So the science behind it, we try things on, I give them tools for their toolbox, but it's the people that want to cut back even. It's like with my coaching, it's not like an all or nothing. a what do you want it to look like for you? How do you want to feel about alcohol? And let's create a plan based on that. And so, yeah, what a lot of that looks like is, teaching the science and for example, alcohol makes me happy. Well, then we kind of take that and we dissect these beliefs and these thoughts that we've had since, I mean, mine since childhood, and kind of start, peeling away the layers on that. And it's like, oh, does it? Because here's actually what happens. Here's why we start to feel that buzz, that happy buzz. And then here's what happens 20 minutes later. And so it's kind of like, whoa, you know and we try things on, like if somebody is going out to dinner with a spouse or a girls night or something like that, I give them little tips, order first or have a drink in your hand, little things like that they can try out just to see what the night is like without drinking. I never tell clients the word forever because I feel like it's so just heavy. But it's like basically essentially what I do is I want to make it small and irrelevant for them. I want it to be you can take it or leave it, and you're going to choose to leave it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's beautiful. I get geeked out by neuroscience.
Yes.
Love that. So share with me one thing that you've learned that other people might find surprising.
Well, I have learned that you can literally repave your, what I tell clients right now, like your brain is wired a certain way. And so, right now I have them envision you're at a park and you're walking a trail and it's a perfectly paved trail. And that's what it looks like inside of our brains. Like it's all connecting, that way. And one day you go and you go into the weeds, into the bushes, and you're stomping on twigs and you're pushing brush away. And that is one little slight, we're starting to connect that. So then you go and you do it again the next day, and that path isn't as branchy and as woody and things like that. And so you start to you start your neurons start to connect and start to that becomes your wiring over time. So it's like over time, when you keep trying these things on, you keep repeating, that path that was all twiggy and stuff is now your smooth path. But it doesn't, it takes time. It takes that repetition. It takes practice. And so, it's like
I love that.
if you're stressed or something like that, and what you always do is you're like, oh, I need a bottle of wine. Yeah, that's your wiring right now. And what I didn't know is that can be changed.
Beautiful. So looking back, was there a moment when you started questioning your relationship with alcohol and didn't know what to do with that question? Take that now into today, and somebody listening maybe is in that same place and they don't know, like, here's this thought in my head, I'm not sure what to do with it. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, hang on, Margie, can we cut this out? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you rephrase that a little bit for me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Let me just look at the timestamp here. Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. So looking back to when you started questioning your relationship with alcohol, to when you looked at that as maybe this is something I need to look at, I'm assuming that in that moment you were not entirely sure kind of what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are now, having worked with other people, having created this coaching practice. this beautiful life. What would you say to that person who is just now, for the first time, looking at their own drinking and just not sure what to do with that thought?
Yeah. So the first step behind like any change is awareness. And so being aware that you want something to change, being aware of how it's affecting you, and getting curious about that. Mine started when I took a 30-day break of alcohol. Being a bartender, all my friends would do dry January or sober October or one of those, and I never wanted to. And I just wanted to take a weekend off and be like, okay, this is fine. But it's when I took that first 30-day break, I tried 3 of them and I didn't make any of them. And that's when I finally realized, okay, why? Why am I not able to go 30 days? So for that person, kind of stop yourself and ask yourself why. And there are so many resources. There's so much out there now, but what I do want to tell that person too is that this isn't your fault. Like it's your responsibility. But right now your wiring just isn't, we're just not there. And that there is hope. That there is hope.
And so that leads me to my very final question. What do you think that the change in relationship with alcohol in your life has made possible that otherwise never would have happened?
Oh, I mean, I have this amazing business. Whether it was alcohol related or not, I'm just very, my brain is clear, my mind is clear. My kids, I am present and happy with them all the time, not just sometimes. I have met people like you, I'm happier. I'm happier. My anxiety is, I don't want to say it's gone, I'm human, but is so much less. And I can deal with stress as opposed to just drinking it away and then having it come back too full the next day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that so
So
much.
yeah, I mean, I can't pinpoint one. It's so many of the little things that just add up into like one giant, just amazing life. I love it.
And your energy is just so infectious. I just love talking
Thank
with you.
you.
Um, we'll put your contact information in the show notes, but what's the best way for somebody who wants to reach out and just have a conversation with you?
Yes. So probably the best way is going to be a direct message on Instagram. And that's at Coach Lauren O'Hanlon. Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. Love that. So, as I think about this conversation we've had, Lauren, there's something so powerful about the fact that there's not like this dramatic moment. It's really about something kind of more insidious, and that's conditioning. It's the things that we grew up around, the environments that we move through, the behaviors that we never stop to question. And it's it's like it's so easy to assume that normal, in quotes, right,
Mhm.
means healthy.
Mhm.
And what stood out to me today is that your shift didn't come from being told what to do. It came from paying attention,
Mhm.
from noticing, from being willing to ask a different question. And then when the time came, when you were ready, having the courage to talk about it. Because that to me is the part that really changes things. It's not the decision itself, but the willingness to live it out loud, to fully integrate it into who we are and bring that to the world around us. So for those of you listening, if you have ever found yourself wondering, is this drinking culture that is incorporated into my life really working for me? Maybe you don't need all the answers right now. Maybe you just need to start paying attention. Thank you for listening to the Sober Life Rocks podcast. And if this conversation resonated with you, please share it with somebody who might be starting to ask those same questions. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Margie.